Morning. It's Harvey Jackson from Exceed Grain Marketing. I'm just going to go through some weather updates, or the drought monitor indexes, and some crop conditions in Canada as well. So let's get at it here. Looks quite red on the screen. So there's wheat's down, palm oil slightly up. Canola um, is is just slightly up and down on both sides. Rapeseed is almost flat as well. Um, yeah, and soybeans are down. Canadian dollar is now 72.85, so slightly down as well. U.S. dollar index probably up, I would guess, but I don't have that one on the screen. So drought and crop conditions. Here we go. So the U.S. Drought Monitor has added some drought in some regions and removed in most of the bigger cropping regions, as it says here. So corn and soybeans are the most important in the U.S. as far as the drought monitor goes, and it's down to 2% on corn and 1% on soybeans, and spring wheat's at 3%. So versus even looking at a year ago, corn was at 57%, soybeans at 51, and spring wheat at 4%. So big, vast differences of growing conditions, and you can see that on the chart, of course, or on the table. Total soil moisture, and again, this is still backdated a little wee bit with the StatsCan collecting, or the Agri-Food Canada still collecting information. But and there's rainfall that's happened since, so I would expect things to change, and you'll see that on some of the further slides as we see in each and every province here. Palmer Modified Drought Index. Saying the exact same thing. There is no real drought problems between Edmonton and Calgary as of June 10th. So the Canadian conditions, let's get into it. Manitoba, 7-day accumulated rainfall. Lots of green on the screen, putting us in that 10 plus to 30 millimeters, and even some pockets that are beyond that. And I believe we might even have some very small localized areas throughout the Northwest that got some a little bit more rainfall as well. And again, it's backdated a little bit from June 3rd to the 9th. Accumulated rainfall adequate. Conditions across 4 to plus inches across Manitoba. No problems there. Getting into Saskatchewan, and I got a few more maps for the Saskatchewan crop conditions and moisture conditions. So here's your spring wheat conditions. So there's a lot of good to excellent, very few that's in the poorer side, and you'll see why in a second as well. Canola crop conditions, fair bit that's good as well, and a bigger region that's fair. So, and the reason it's fair is because there's flooding and crop damage as of June 10th, and that seems to be building even beyond the date that's on here. So next week's report will probably have a little bit more damage and probably into the severe range, but we'll see how much that's going to impact the actual crop as it's growing, and time will tell. Weekly rainfall, June 4th to June 10th. 2-inch plus rainfall in the northeast, and traces as you get farther south, close to the U.S. border. Cropland soil topsoil, or cropland topsoil moisture conditions, and says a lot of the same thing, but a lot of it's in adequate conditions. This is all from the Saskatchewan agriculture maps, so you can go and look at it yourself. But dates as of a couple of days ago when they released this. Alberta, it's released later on today, so I'm not going to dwell on this one too much. But uh, moisture has fallen there as well. There's not a whole lot of drought, and dated again, but a lot of uh, uh, soil moisture ratings are it's you know pretty decent over there as well. So I'm just going to go through, and obviously I got a misplaced map here, but just canola conditions and or canola maps here. Um, we are running into this mid zone here on the canola and still leaking lower. If we were to put a line in here, uh, it would tell us a little bit of something here for sure. Like you put a line here, we need it to hold that kind of support, and if it breaks through, there's a little bit more problems that we're going to see for sure. But we're staying oversold, and we can continue to stay oversold for quite some time. We've seen this in the past. And I rather than going through all the complexes, I'm just going to go through rapeseed. Here's rapeseed trading at the 61.8 at retracement value. So if you're here, as long as it stays above that, that's a pretty good signal. And and basically just talking about rapeseed because that's where I would like to see some of our support coming from. Wheat. Um, Here's your red spring wheat for the fall. Um, not a good chart. Broke through the 23.6 retracement value and trending in that direction. It looks like we're going to go to zero possibly, but until we have something to kind of stall at, and that could be our milling wheat class. It's still leaking lower, but it's trading a lot better in France, and hopefully can add some support. It's not in this range way down here like our Minneapolis wheat. A little bit of an update on the spread between Kansas and Mini. We're still trading. Now we're trading about 32 and 3/4 cents above Kansas. That spread, we started to get in this range here. Not to say that that's the right range because it can go to zero and below, as I showed yesterday. Here's the dates to be watching out. So the next most important dates for this crop conditions or USDA coming out with planted surveys at the end of the month, and so is Canada. And here's a Charter price list, and there's some advantages buying some of the glufosinate and glyphosate with your fungicide to get some discounts, and even your Intenza as well. So you can, if have a look at that if you're interested, give me a call at 204-250-2863. And that's all I have for you today, and have a great weekend.